Hey guys, it's Amazing Chang here. It's 10:30 p.m. on a Sunday night, and I'm about to get dressed and then going to head out to a local Vietnamese drinking place, a đi nhậu place, with my boyfriend Tyler, and we're gonna have a hot pot there. While we're enjoying our food, I'm gonna interview him. I'm gonna ask him some questions about a particular topic. You find out what it is. Okay, so hang on. So now I'm gonna go get ready, and then I'm gonna wait for him to get ready too, and then we're gonna head out. Let's go. Okay, I forgot a very important thing, which is the microphone. Because it's quite noisy there, so I'm going back up, climbing up the stairs to go get it.
This local restaurant is within walking distance and only a 2-minute drive from our place where we live, and it's around the corner of Huỳnh and Phạm Vi Chánh Street, and across the street from it there's also this very bustling Viet Hanoi place. I think it's a popular local đi nhậu place. They're always crowded with customers and they stay open until 12 or 1 a.m.
That's it.
Okay, so we finally arrived. I'm here with my boyfriend, Tyler. Chào anh.
Chào em yêu.
Let me introduce Tyler from my perspective first. So, we've been going out, now we've been dating for, 4 years?
Yeah.
Recently, you guys know I just recently started this YouTube channel, and he has been helping me. He has been of like immense help in terms of like the entire process, helping me set up, hyping me up, helping me, get the equipment, or like giving me advice in general. He's been, wonderful through this entire journey. So that is why today I want to do a proper interview with him, so that, you guys can get to know a little bit more about him. All right, so your turn.
Hi everyone, my name's Tyler. I'm 34 years old. I live here in Vietnam. Been living here for 7 years. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Big Time Bentley. Trang has just gotten into YouTubing as well. And I'm excited about her channel, her new channel, Amazing Trang. And yeah, we're here having a hot pot.
What hot pot are we having?
We're having a stingray hot pot. Cadui? A lazy fish.
Oh,
right?
An exhausted.
Oh, an exhausted fish, right. An exhausted fish.
So I envision all my interviews to be, you have to eat while you're talking. So we'll wait a little bit. We'll wait a little bit for the food to get here, and then we'll start the interview. Okay, so we got our hot pot. The hot pot, along with the drinks that we got, only ended up costing us like 210,000 Vietnam dong, or like $8 something, which is very reasonable for the portion that we got. We're ready, and I know that you guys might be interested in the story of our relationship, or like how we started dating, stuff like that. But today we're not going to talk about that. However, you can check it out on his YouTube channel. He has a video that outlines.
You interviewed me, yeah.
That outlines how we met, and like dating in Vietnam and stuff like that. If you're interested.
Yeah, we'll put a link to that.
Yeah, we'll put a link to that. But for now, you said that you've been living in Vietnam for how long?
I've been living in Vietnam for 7 years.
For 7 years. I think that's a really long time for the majority of, foreigners. Living 7 years somewhere, I might as well call this settling down somewhere, right?
Yeah, safe to say.
Yeah, right. So I'm interested in the topic of settling down in a new country.
Okay.
So let's talk about that.
Sure.
All right.
Em ơi, bỏ cà lý giùm anh.
Dạ. Là không không lấy đá.
Bỏ lý.
So, first question. How did you decide to move to Vietnam? Briefly. I know he also has
It's okay.
a video about this, but let's brief it to our viewers.
Yeah, so I decided to move to Vietnam because I had an acquaintance that lived here in Vietnam. He started posting things about Vietnam on Facebook, and it looked like a really great place to live. I noticed that there were opportunities to come out here and make a living and live comfortably. So I decided to make the move because I had an interest in living outside of America.
So, what is the most exciting thing to you about either the process or even the thought of moving somewhere else or the thought of like settling somewhere else? Wait, but before we answer that question though, did you intend on settling down here in the first place or when you planned on moving here?
I always thought it'd be like a year or two that I would stay here, and that I would, after that, go to somewhere like Latin America, South America probably, because I speak Spanish pretty well, and I've always had an interest in that area of the world. But once I got here, and once I was here for a couple of years, I just didn't really want to leave. And now it's been 7 years, and I still don't really want to leave. I still feel like I have things that I want to do here in Vietnam, things that I want to still see and experience and accomplish. So I'm here for the foreseeable, and I think at some point I will move to a different place. But yeah.
So then, when you decided that you were going to move here, what was the most exciting thing about it?
I think the most exciting thing was just the sense of adventure, or the sense of this is going to be so different and exciting, and it's going to be like a renewal of life in ways. And I think, to touch back on your earlier question about what is most exciting about potentially moving to a new place, I think that's what it is the unknown. It's what's behind that closed door. And then you have that opportunity to kind of open it once you get to the new place and see what's inside of that door, which is the new country. And yeah, it's just all very exciting because it's very new, and it's also, there's a level of fear too that goes into moving to a new place and changing your life in that way, and opening a door that's closed and that you've never been inside before, and confronting that fear, facing that fear, and then I guess overcoming that. There's a sense of achievement and a sense of I don't know.
Triumph?
Yeah, just an overall sense of triumph, and I guess there's just something really positive about that, I think.
So you did mention fear. Like, there is fear, right? What is like the most like stressful or like difficult thing
About moving abroad.
about moving to somewhere else? Either stressful or difficult, or as you said, like, fearful or whatever.
Is this before or after you get there?
I think before. Let's say before.
Well, before, it's definitely like just not knowing what it's going to be like, and not knowing how you'll fit in. Just like I said, fear of the unknown. Will I be able to make friends? Is it going to be safe? How are the people going to be? Will I enjoy it, essentially? And so not knowing that, I think, is the most stressful part.
Is there anything to do with like the process, like preparing for it? Is that stressful at all? Like, doing all the paperwork or like getting relations or affairs settled, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think there's always that, stress about admin, like sorting out how you're going to get over there, booking your flights, figuring out whether or not you need a visa or, what the situation for that will be like, figuring out where you're going to live, where you're going to stay. Those are all definitely stressors. But I think once you just book the flight, you kind of just start knocking those things out step by step. And they don't really feel that stressful. I think once you've made the decision, the biggest decision, which is just to go do it, everything else kind of falls into place after that. Thank you. I like mushrooms and tomatoes.
If you have never tried stingray before, it's got a really different texture from other kinds of fish. It almost tastes or feels like chicken, and it's also got like a slightly pungent smell. Okay, so I know this already, but do you go here often?
To this restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
This is probably my third or fourth time here. Yeah, like 3 or 4 times.
How do you like it so far?
It's good. I've actually kind of surprisingly good. We stumbled upon this place one night. We had some snails here.
Right.
It is called Seven Snails or Snail 7.
Yeah.
We came here and we liked it. It was actually pretty decent.
What would you say is a must try here?
The beer. I don't know. It's all good, really. I think the stir-fried dishes are very good. Like the stir-fried vegetable dishes.
Oh, yeah.
But everything's really decent. I haven't had anything really bad.
I agree. Very solid place.
Yeah. I think if I wanted like straight up hot pot,
Yeah.
I'd probably go to that place, Hadi Lao, in
Oh,
District
yeah.
1.
Yeah.
But like, for more of a local, definitely more budget-friendly hot pot, this is solid.
Yeah.
And it's a dinyo place. Like
It
it's
is.
a drinking place.
It's bustling.
Yeah.
You love the atmosphere. Veggie
Yeah.
coming.
Ready to come in?
Once you set foot here in Vietnam, what was your like very first impression? It can either be good or bad, right? An impression is an impression.
Sure.
What was your very first impression of Vietnam, of the country?
It's hot. Like when I stepped, my first step out of the airport, I was like, "Ooh," because it was the middle of the night. It was like 1 a.m. or
Really?
1:30 a.m. Yeah, when my flight arrived. I had taken 3 flights to get here. It was like a 30-hour journey. LA to Vancouver, Vancouver to Seoul, Korea, and then Seoul to Ho Chi Minh City. And I stepped out of the airport at Tan Son Nhat, and I was just like, damn, it's hot. This is like humid, sticky. I had experienced humidity like that before when I was living in Alabama for a year.
I like it. And I remember there's a line that you really like.
Oh yeah, from The Quiet American?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What is it?
It's the smell. That's the first thing that hits you, promising everything in return for your soul.
And what
That's
is
in
that
reference
smell?
to Saigon. Just the smell of Vietnam, like the smell of life here. But really, it's like, I think the smell of the food, just the way the place smells, maybe a little bit of the motorbikes and cars going around. I don't really notice it anymore, but I definitely noticed it when I first got here. It was like the smell of someone cooking fish sauce.
Oh.
That was really pungent, something I'd never smelled before in my life, and it just hits you in the face, and you're like, whoa, what is that? This place is going to be different for sure.
I think that is something that is really relatable for if you want to like imagine how moving or like getting to somewhere else would be like. Because for me, as a kid growing up, whenever I go to someone else's house, I'm gonna smell their house.
Yeah.
I will smell their house. Not like I will smell like I will go sniff their house. Not in that sense, but like I will be able
Not
to.
necessarily.
Well, not when I'm.
Not if they're looking.
Yeah, only when I'm in my dog mode. Yeah, but yeah, because whenever you go to someone else's house, you can always smell that it's different. Like there's always a scent there. But then when you go back to your house, which is somewhere that you're really familiar with, you don't smell anything.
No.
And the fact that you don't smell it anymore, like you said.
It's now home, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's good. Very good point. Yeah. My grandpa used to smoke all the time in the house. And I'd go over there every other weekend or so and stay with my grandparents. And whenever I'd get there, I mean, I was kind of, I was used to the smell. But whenever I'd come home and I'd smell my clothes, I'd be like, ugh. You know, like, what is that smell? It reeks. It was like the smell of dogs and cigarettes. And it was just, yeah. I always had to do a quick wash of the clothes after a visit from Grandma and Grandpa's. And smells are also one of the things that leave lasting memories. Like, I think you remember a smell.
Triggers your memory.
Yeah, like it more so than any of your other senses. And I wonder if that's something like physiologically important, the necessity to like smell when food is bad, or maybe when danger's lurking somehow, or maybe some sort of like other animals are in the area.
Totally.
But yeah.
It's in the same ballpark with how like when you love someone, you kind of like their smell.
Yeah.
Right? So now you love Saigon or you love Vietnam.
Yeah. Love it so much I don't even smell it.
I want someone who is planning on moving abroad or moving somewhere to really be able to relate. What aspects or what really steps that you had to navigate, including pre and post moving to the country, like before you actually set foot on the country and then after you set foot in the country? What steps, what
All right.
aspects?
Well, I'll tell you the ones beforehand. First, I had to figure out how I was going to make money out here. I found a TESOL school called Ninja Teacher through YouTube. So that got me on a track to become a teacher. Then I had to figure out where I was going to stay. Fortunately, through that program, it came with accommodation. So that kind of took care of that. They really held your hand through a lot of the process, which was really helpful. Flights, of course, money. I sold my car and had some money to get out here. Yeah, those are the things before, really. Make sure you have a passport. Make sure that you have a visa to get there.
What about after?
After,
I can think about a few. So, like, you mentioned a little bit about accommodation.
yeah. Well, after it was at that point kind of going with the flow, but it was, little things like figuring out what the money looks like the currency, what each bill looks like, and how much things cost in general, getting sort of a feel for, like the price of things, like say if I want to get a pack of cigarettes or something at a store or from a local vendor. I was living in Galbap, which was kind of a more like a local district, especially at that time in 2017. So there weren't like a ton of these like chain places out there. It was more what you would, more of like what Phan Rang is like, the place you're from. So it was like going to certain local vendors and, okay, here's the price of something, and then you have kind of a ballpark for what it should be at a different place. So figuring out the cost of things, figuring out what the money looks like, how to use it, especially here in Vietnam. Like the 20,000 sort of looks a lot like the 500,000 when you first get here. That can be a big mistake. The 10,000 looks a lot like the 200,000. You can also run into mistakes there. Just getting used to that kind of thing. Getting used to being on the back of a motorbike, and then also getting used to driving a motorbike here. I remember my first trip on the back of a motorbike. It was on like a Grab, or no, back then it was it
Uber?
They definitely had Uber back then, but it was Uber and something else. Maybe it was Gojek. I don't know. It was
Go Viet.
Yeah, it was Go Viet. Yeah, I think it was on the back of a Go Viet. When we stopped at a stoplight, I put my feet down on the ground, and the driver was like, kind of motioned to me. He's like, no, you put yours back up here. So that was kind of like a little bit of a learning curve of how to be on the back of a bike. I had never been on the back. Yeah, and then driving, getting used to all the noises here. It's a very noisy city, and here in Saigon, getting used to people singing karaoke at like 11 p.m. at night or something like that, in the neighborhood. Getting used to the smells like we already talked about. And then trying a little bit like to pick up the language. It's a very difficult language, especially when you first come here. But yeah, just trying my best to adapt.
Yeah, I think that's very thorough. You listed a lot of essential things that would be helpful for people to take notes of, language, currency, accommodation, costs of living, stuff like that. I think you have lived abroad long enough to have an idea of what it is. So I'm going to ask you this question, hoping that it can help other people navigate a new environment. What would make a place worth settling down in?
A girl like you. All right.
I was speechless. I was like, okay, I'm trying to play it cool. I'm like, oh, yeah.
I mean, besides that, just feeling like, I think, safety.
In what sense?
Feeling like you're not, just feeling safe in a physical and I guess an emotional sense. I mean, mostly physical though. Like you don't want to feel like you're going to get robbed or you're going to get assaulted.
Can you give like a very specific scenario for someone to kind of like imagine what is this like? You safe or unsafe?
Yeah. Say you were hungry in the middle of the night and you wanted to go walk to the convenience store that was 2 blocks away from your place. You would want to feel like that you could go do that without the potential of someone coming and attacking you or robbing you or something like that, which isn't the case everywhere in the world. But here in Saigon, at least, it is. You can feel safe doing that. I would say, especially as a man, I haven't heard of any issues from females, though, really, either.
So safety. Is there anything else besides safety? Let me give you a hint.
Okay.
You're eating Vietnamese food.
Oh, yeah.
You're comfortable eating Vietnamese food now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to make any changes of diet when you moved out here? Was diet change a big thing? And would you factor that into a place being livable or not?
I think when you move to a big city like Saigon, you're going to have options for whatever kind of food you want, really. I mean, you can get Ethiopian food here if you wanted. So you don't really have to sacrifice in terms of if you never wanted to get accustomed to or familiar with Vietnamese food, you really wouldn't have to. But if you were moving to a more rural place in Vietnam, like your hometown, like Ninh Thuan,
It's even hard to find sushi there.
yeah, you'd have to get acquainted with, and you'd have to start to love Vietnamese food probably to want to keep on living there. So yeah, doing well with the food, and then also getting along with people too. Like if you want to be able to get along with the local people, and then also if there are other foreigners where you're living, hopefully you can make some friends with them too. So figuring out your safety, I would say, is the foremost thing. Yeah, then your food, nourishing your body, and then figuring out your social life, and then maybe that after that your romantic life.
I see you got it all figured out.
I guess, I don't know. I wouldn't say that.
So I know that those could be something that would put someone off moving somewhere, right? Safety or like community and stuff like that. But would you say, aside from those that we just mentioned, what are other red flags that someone would need to like pay attention to when moving somewhere?
I would say just trust your gut. I mean, if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. But if you're okay with the food, the cost of living, your social situation, your safety, I can't really think of any red flags, really. Yeah, I would just say just trust your instincts.
Okay. I see that you speak kind of highly of Saigon or Vietnam, but I think there's always room for improvement. What are the things that you think need to be improved in order for foreigners to have a better quality of life here, or in order to make Vietnam or any country in general too, a livable country?
I think the infrastructure, which could potentially reduce some of the traffic issues that exist here, that could be big for this city. Also, maybe the overall cleanliness and organization. Having a little bit more, like if you were to go to a place like, I've never been to Japan, but from what I see in Japan, it's very clean, very orderly. And I think the people there like take pride in that. So maybe if like the people here took a little bit more pride in like organization and tidiness, that could be a lot more appealing for foreigners, both traveling and living here potentially. Yeah, I think those are the main things.
I think we've exhausted Tyler with, our repertoire of questions.
That's a good word.
So let's wrap it up with one last question. Let's wrap it up with one last question so that you can enjoy his meal peacefully. So what are your plans in the future in terms of your living situation? Where do you plan to live? Where do you plan to settle down?
I don't really know. In a few weeks from now, I plan to be semi-nomadic. I think we're going to do some traveling and kind of bounce around a few places. Try to, get some content from different places around Vietnam and possibly in other countries as well. So I can't say definitively where I'm going to be in the next 6 months. But yeah, maybe in like 20 years, ultimately, I'd like to have a villa in Monaco. I don't know. I'm kidding. I don't know. I have no idea.
What about Vietnam, though? Do you have any sort of, is it on your list of settling down for the long term?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. I could see myself settling down for the long term in Vietnam, but I could also see myself going somewhere else too. So I think it's good to just keep your options open and kind of be open to new experiences and not be afraid to open those doors.
We certainly appreciate your input on all of this, and I think
Appreciate you.
Thank you. I think we had a really good chat, and I think that would help out a lot of people in terms of getting over the hurdles and making that leap of faith, right? Moving to somewhere new, experience a new way of life, or experience a new environment. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for attending the interview.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about your new YouTube channel, and I wish you all the best with it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos or in my next interviews, hopefully.